Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Side Quests. I am your host today, Matt, aka Stormageddon. I am the creator and producer of this series. I am one of the hosts of the Fun and Games podcast, and I am also one of the hosts of Reignite. I'm here to talk to you about a game that I've not been able to stop thinking about since I beat it on December 30th of 2025. It's an indie game that I was peripherally aware of, but didn't really know that it was something that I needed to play, and it ended up being one of the more defining experiences of 2025 that unfortunately came in under the wire just after we recorded our Game of the Year stuff. That game is called Skate Story. It's developed by Sam Eng and published by Devolver Digital. Composers for the soundtrack are Blood Cultures and John Fio. More on that in a little bit. It was released on Mac, Windows, Nintendo Switch 2, and PlayStation 5. It came out on December 8th of 2025. So I played it recently after it came out. And so before I get further into Skate Story, I should make an admittance here. Admittance? Sure, that's a word. I should admit something here on the podcast. I respect Tony Hawk and the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games more than I enjoy them. Now, that's not to say that I haven't played my fair share of them. The soundtracks were genre-defining and time-defining for me as a developing young lover of punk and rock and nu metal. But the experience of playing those games are always a mixed bag for me because I just can't do the tricks very well. My fingers don't listen. So when Skate Story was coming out, I was hesitant to play a game that's focused on skateboarding, but the visuals caught my attention. The music in the trailer caught my attention. And so I decided, since it came out on PlayStation Plus, which I have, I'd give it a shot. And I'm so glad I did because it's easily one of my favorite indie games I think I've ever played. So Skate Story, very basically, is you play as this crystalline demon who is given a skateboard by the devil alongside the terms of a simple deal that if the demon skates to the moon and swallows it, the devil will free them. Now, of course, it doesn't go that easy. It's a very abstract story. The visuals are very, what if we polished up PlayStation 1 aesthetics? The graphics are incredible and intricate and really interesting. The game is filled with a ton of funny little guys, weird little freakos, as my good friend Jesse likes to say, that totally build out this really interesting world. And while the story itself is pretty abstract and out there, the through line of the narrative, the goal of the narrative, the want, the desire is very relatable. The basic mechanics of the game, as I alluded to earlier, is you're doing tricks on a skateboard as you progress through these platforming stages that often end after a run of platforming in a boss battle of some kind. How boss battles work in this game is you build up points by doing tricks, and then you kind of slam your board into the ground. It does like an AoE shockwave, and that turns those points into damage on the quote-unquote enemy you're fighting. And so I said earlier that I'm not great with controls in a skateboarding game, but for this game, because everything's tied to holding one button and pressing another button, basically, with some exception, stringing the tricks together can be complicated, but executing individual tricks is actually pretty simple, and that made this game way more engaging. Now, you're made out of glass, so the minute you collide with something, you shatter, but the game gets you back in the action immediately when that happens, so you don't really feel the effects of that. Also, the game has a ton of accessibility options. You can increase the amount of damage you can take. You can adjust the speed, I think, the amount of points you get from tricks, some other stuff. So they allow you to get past those harder, more difficult or challenging stages because you can take more damage. You won't shatter immediately if you get stuck on certain challenges, which I think is also a great way to engage with this game. The gameplay starts off pretty simple, but by the end, you're doing such a cool string of tricks to execute these attacks, quote unquote, in the boss battles that it really feels satisfying. Musically, this is one of the most impressive games I think I've played since Shovel Knight as far as soundtracks go. I mentioned earlier the composer for the soundtracks is the band Blood Cultures and the composer John Fio. Blood Cultures are like an experimental indie pop group, and the funny thing about the album for this soundtrack, the OST, it's 2 volumes. It's 1 volume by Blood Cultures and 1 volume by John Fio. And the John Fio tracks are more the atmospheric tracks when you're in between stages, like you're walking around in the open world, you're interacting with characters in the narrative. And then the actual stages where you're moving at a brisk pace, either doing the platforming stages or doing the boss battles, those moments use the songs from Blood Cultures. And man, I've been addicted to both of these albums, but specifically the Blood Cultures album. I just can't stop listening to it. I think the thing that makes this game hit for me is that if you could distill the word vibes into a video game, it would be this video game. Just the PlayStation 1 style but polished aesthetics of the visuals, the character design, the way the story's told through these abstract and interesting, like followable but disjointed narrative points with some really bizarre encounters. And then the music, it just, again, makes this game, I think, capital V vibes the video game, and is why I had to talk about it, because I haven't really posted about it anywhere other than when I was playing it, but I've been listening to this soundtrack on loop. I thought about writing my January article about it, but I ended up changing my mind there to cover Big Hops, which I'm glad I did, but I needed to share how I felt about this game, because I cannot stop thinking about it. I listen to the soundtrack constantly. I kind of want to replay it, and since I got it at no extra cost to me on the PlayStation 5, I may pick up the Switch 2 version, just to have a portable version too, but it just is one of those games that if you are hesitant to play a skateboarding game because you're not sure you could handle the complexity of it, I can't recommend this game enough. Also, the narrative is really engaging, as bizarre as it is, and the soundtrack is a one-of-a-kind soundtrack. Like, I would put Blood Cultures Volume 1 of Skate Story up there with some of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time, but possibly even some of my favorite albums of all time. It's just such a vibe. The genre jumping all over the record is really great, and I can't praise this game enough. So if you've been curious about Skate Story, if you've wondered what this game is about and have endured my ramblings through this whole recording, please go play Skate Story. I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you're looking for something that's just different. It is one of those games. So go play Skate Story. I told you all the platforms it's on early in the episode. Definitely go check it out. It is absolutely worth your time. As for me, I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. I created this series, Side Quests, and I'm the producer and editor of this series as well. I also am one of the hosts of Fun and Games, which is where this series is featured within the same feed of. So if you're here, you're probably already familiar, but those who maybe this is their first episode of Side Quests, Fun and Games is a broad topic-based discussion podcast. Definitely worth your time if you love hearing about the different ways we discuss video games and the worlds within them. The other podcast I do is Reignite. Reignite is a play-along podcast that started as a Mass Effect podcast, and now we're playing through the Dragon Age series. As of when I'm recording this, we are currently making our way through the final act of Dragon Age 2. Definitely go check that out as well. They are both available wherever you get podcasts, and the best place to find everything I'm doing is djstormageddon.com. That is also my handle on Blue Sky, where I'm the most active. Go check out my merch. Go check out the Patreon for Fun and Games. Go check out a ton of other stuff. And yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble about Skate Story. Happy gaming.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jim.
You're a fan of the Legion of Superheroes, right?
Yeah, I've been reading their adventures for decades.
Me too. It was tough at first with all the characters, but now I think I'm an expert.
It's not too hard to get into the Legion. And to make it even easier, we have a podcast called Long Live the Legion. We talk about different aspects of all its history to help you out.
So whether you're a new reader in the Legion Academy, or have your own flight ring, or anywhere in between, a Long Live the Legion podcast should be on your playlist.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.